It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily podcast. We come to you live every day at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's 4 Pacific for about an hour and 90 minutes. We run 3 gun-related topics each day, different topics throughout the week. Then a bunch of stuff that we hit on the daily, like a gun shop and gun of the day and things like that. We run it live on YouTube, and we're simulcasting it at gunchannels.com. We're watching the live comments that are coming in from everybody watching us live on Gun Channels, also over at YouTube. When it's all over, we'll let it render into a video, and we'll take the audio from that and turn it into a podcast over on iTunes. We encourage anybody that's listening to the show now or in the future to leave us some feedback. We ask you that every single day because it really does help the show get recommended to more listeners. We've seen an increase in viewers, so we do appreciate that favor. There are a bunch of hosts. 4 of us are here today. We've got Dano jumping in from Illinois. Thanks for joining.
Glad to be here.
And we got Smeggy jumping in from Michigan.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
And Z jumping in from Maui.
Yo, 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 what do you know?
And I'm down here in Arizona. So Bob is driving. He should be arriving in Tucson pretty much as we speak, but getting his stuff set up. So he's hopefully be back tomorrow and then on the regular. But it is Monday, so we're going to be talking about the week. Then we'll be talking about using social media, the Gun Channels University segment of the show. And we'll be talking about plastic guns today. But before we dig into all our daily stuff, we usually take a break at the beginning, talk about anything that happened overnight, or in this case, over the weekend.
Long weekend.
We definitely have a new travel advisory out that was issued, was it yesterday or just this morning? That the president issued a revised travel restrictions. I guess I'm the only one that's aware of it.
About guns or what?
No, in regards to people coming into this country from other countries with people that potentially cannot be properly vetted.
Oh, yeah, I didn't hear anything about that.
He basically just revised his thing from before. The different countries or whatever, he changed some of the wording. Oh, whatever.
Well, as well as, you know, he also included some of the things that he shouldn't have had in there. For like the exceptions were the people who have like visas are allowed in. People who have, you know, already green cards are allowed back because they already have a green card. It's brand new people, never been here before, sort of a thing, and you know, from countries where it's difficult or impossible to try to vet them. Anyway, right or wrong, that is, he's has that back out there. And then, of course, yesterday was North Korea's back at it, launching another ballistic missile. And so that has, surprisingly, Japan went to their highest state of readiness. I would assume they always do that when that happens, but I don't know that for a fact. But I didn't hear the same thing about South Korea.
South Korea is the one that we're probably either giving or selling the THAAD system to, which is THAAD, and it is going to be, or it is actually, a missile interceptor system. And it either went 1,000 kilometers and like 600 miles this time or something like that. And basically they were theorizing that they are trying to gauge the appropriate distance for the U.S. bases in Japan. And of course, we will see what our response is going to be, since they're not supposed to be doing any of that in general. So,
right. So those are.
So it could get interesting, actually.
Yeah.
As it continues.
So those are the things that I'm aware of as far as what's new. Anybody else?
No, I think we'll just dig into the show then. So
Fire it up.
the beginning of the week, we like to look forward at the week. So tomorrow we'll have our Second Amendment segment, and we'll talk about ambiguous gun laws. We'll have a good idea, bad idea segment, and we'll talk about the bolt guns versus lever guns. Then we have the gun advocacy section where we've been focusing on the state. We'll be talking about New York tomorrow, and we have an invite out to the guys from Andalusia Armory. Turns out they started their gun shop in New York, so we'll get some insight from an FFL who's come from New York. I don't know if DB Cooper's
He started
listening.
a gun shop in New York. It's not like they started that gun shop in New York.
Good point. And I was going to say, if we can get DB or anybody else who's from gun channels that has some experience with New York, we might invite them in as well.
Yeah, there is. I was just doing some preliminary work for my kind of summary report for New York tomorrow, and there's as much to talk about New York City as there is about New York State. There's a lot of things there to talk about, and we could talk about them as either as minimalistic or as much detail as people want. But there's a lot there.
And on Wednesday, we'll talk about our CCW subject. Will be blued or stainless. So I guess that's an interesting one. We'll talk about 1984 in the entertainment segment. We'll talk about the book and the movie, I guess. And then we have our tactical quiz on Wednesday. Of course, anytime during the week, we could have our tactical pop quizzes. So we do those at any time. Then on Wednesday, we have the big tactical quiz. Thursday will be our gun stuff segment. And got a question a while back, what if Red Dawn had actually occurred? So we'll contemplate that. On our training segment, we're going to talk about bullseye or shot grouping, which is more important. And then we talk about the shooting events that are coming up on Thursdays. Friday, we talk about alternative gun topics, and we'll be talking about novelty guns that are fun but not necessarily practical. And then in the gun business segment of Friday's show, we'll talk about gun accessories. And then we like to try to wrap up the week on Fridays, kind of looking back at what happened over the week, as well as the gun deals and things that are posted over in the Trading Post and other places on gun channels. Good. I guess we have an interesting week to come up. This is our starting into our second year of the show. So thanks again for everybody who's been with us for the first part, watching us live or listening to us on podcasts. And then, of course, everyone who participates in the Patreon, letting us grow the show. And we'll have some meetings this week. And then Saturday will be our Patreon scheduling show, where we get together on a Saturday and we schedule out a month ahead the show topics and the segment topics. All right, I guess with that, we'll move into the second segment of the show today, which is our Gun Channels University. We like to talk about kind of behind the scenes, how to use social media for gun-related content creation. And before we do that, we like to take a break between the first and second segment of the show each day to feature one of the members over at Gun Channels. Today, we're talking about OneBadMarine, one of the original founding members of the place. He's still one of the contributors to Gun Channels. He keeps it online. Started out doing some kind of a job where he was on the road, and he would use Gun Channels as his recreation, I guess, when he'd get off work and he'd be at the hotel, I guess normally just watching TV or being bored. Again, Gun Channels gave him a place to come on and BS, and he's a shooter. He likes to fish, I think, as much as he likes to shoot.
You are right on that.
He always had a lot to talk about, though. And like I say, every once in a while, he'll still come back. So good to see him to get updates and whatnot. He hasn't had all the time in the world, I guess. And I don't know, it's one of the reasons we built Gun Channels, though, so that when people are looking for something to do, they've got a place to do it.
He back when I was just a lurker, so to speak, and I used to watch all the shows on YouTube and subscribe to everybody's channel so I wouldn't miss a hangout, because there was no Gun Channels, back at that time. And Luke was one of the guys that I had watched, and he occasionally would have, and in fact, he started doing it, almost once a week, have a new, I forget exactly what he called it, but having new people come up, in the panel, to help figure out this technology and how to get your microphone working and try to get comfortable in your own skin, realized that, if you don't kind of interrupt somebody, you'll literally never have a chance to talk. But it was on one of his intro shows, which was the first one.
A lot of us
Exactly.
think it's really to interrupt people.
Especially when they start talking,
But-
because if they're in the middle of something, it just sounds much better.
Yeah, then if you get 3 people interrupting each other, that's just confusing for them.
Yeah, it just ends up being madness. I don't understand it.
OneBadMarine was the one that sucked me out of the ether and to actually make my presence
family
for better
show.
or worse known. So I have to personally thank OneBadMarine, because if it wasn't for that, I don't know if I would have followed along into gun channels or not. It's kind of hard to predict those things, but I'm certainly glad I have.
Well, you're right. He was a great ambassador. He would, I think it was Tuesdays he did his shows, and we didn't have a regular lobby back then. So we kind of depended on people who were creating. Well, we didn't depend on the place was built because people were doing shows over on YouTube. We didn't have any kind of structure to it. So it's just the people in the group of people that like to chat. People would volunteer to run a show every day or a different day throughout the week. And Marine was doing Tuesdays for a while there, and he'd made a conscious effort to invite anybody who might even consider jumping in, so that it didn't seem so formal or so like necessary to know somebody or whatever. And that's being that ambassador, being that inspiration for people and encouragement for people. Exactly what we built gun channels for. So yeah, it was that dynamic that OneBadMarine helped to create over on the YouTube side that gave us the blueprint of what we needed to build gun channels to provide for people. And I guess it's also, we always like to mention that he's the one that created the phrase lobby. I think we weren't even calling it anything until he started calling it the lobby. I guess the concept was like the lobby of a movie theater, where you'd come in and have a place to gather while the shows were being set up, or waiting for one to start.
Lobby, like a hotel with your room waiting. But also one of the few to ever have a successful or successfully have a all ladies show as well.
True. All right, so hopefully we'll see him around again. Maybe this will make his ears perk up, right? Or his ears.
So man, it's always good to talk to Luke.
All right, so now we're talking about how to use social media. We do a Gun Channels University segment of the show each week. Again, part of the reason we built Gun Channels is to encourage and inspire others who might be contemplating creating any kind of online content, but then including your gun-related content in with that. I really do think that we'll be better off when everyone is more comfortable with sharing their gun-related adventures and interests. For all those people out there that follow us individually, follow us all individually with our social media platforms, it's usually going to be our family. It's going to be our friends from work or church or school or whatever, and civic organizations. I don't know, people that you meet up from your kids or something. And, these people, use social media the same way you do. So the same way that you see some of the stuff they're doing that, doesn't have anything to do with the thing you're actually have in common, they can get a little look or a glimpse into the firearms community. And when we do get an environment, which I'm sure we'll have again, where guns are gun owners are attempted to be persecuted, it'd be tougher for that to happen when we have the knowledge out there on our side. So with that in mind, we talk about some of the nuts and bolts, some of the behind the scenes. And today is a little bit different. I think I put this one in here, but I'm not sure. But we're talking about paper handouts, brochures, what do you call things like that? Handouts or
Flyers,
thanks. For Second Amendment issues. Is it valid? Is it a waste of paper? Is it a necessary piece? Or I don't know where we want to take this one.
I think that it's supplementary on many levels. I mean, can you consider it a waste? Sure. I mean, of like a natural resource as in of trees or something like that. But I think the fact that people still respond to that piece of paper. Now, whether you're going door to door or you're going through parking lots or whatever, now I will concede that there are a good portion of the people that are literally, they're going to pick it up and then they're either going to crumple it before they look at it or they're going to crumple it after they look at it. But you're hoping that basically the message gets across after as they're reading it, so that they might not crumple it and throw it away. I mean, so it's a disposable marketing. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to create it. So I think well, obviously you're right. I mean, not like everything you publish or print is going to be going directly to someone's, I don't know, file cabinet somewhere. It'll be mostly thrown out, but it is that tangible thing, right? And I'm thinking of
Well,
like,
like, and when everybody was doing those the get-togethers at the Capitol steps and stuff like that back in 2013 and stuff like that, was it all on social media? Or were there, were people getting flyers out there? And of course, I live on an island, so it did not happen here like that. So, I mean, you guys, y'all are connected at least by land mass. So that's, something that's different than what I got going on out here. And basically, did any of you have flyers that you saw that said, meet up here or anything like that during that time when it was go to rally at the Capitol and stuff?
probably had to do with what state you're in, because I don't know if we had them
Okay.
here in Arizona, but I mean, it wasn't as big a call to thing, call to arms. But I'm assuming in some of the states where it was like, where they actually had the bigger rallies, Tennessee and some of the others I can think of, they might have then. Because you're right. It's, I mean, as much as we use the internet, I'm sure there's a whole bunch of people out there, especially shooters, that don't even go near the internet, or their wives do, and they just are perfectly content not even using the internet. So how do you reach those people without, with timely information? They might get a subscription to a magazine or something. They might, I don't know, pick up some stuff at a gun shop once in a while. But I think of when I think of handouts for the Second Amendment, and one of the things that comes to my mind is the gun show calendars. So I look for those when I go to a show. When I go to a gun show, I want to know when the next shows are coming up, and since scheduling conflicts and change of venues and things like that can happen, I like to have that piece of paper whenever I go, just to kind of scan through and see if everything's still where I thought, and then I use that piece of paper to write notes on for the gun show. But uh, the same way that we're using um, that tradition of, like, I don't know, every gun show I've ever been to has the paper handouts with the calendars on them. I'm assuming that's kind of the same around the country. Um, there are some things that you see there, sometimes a little rack of handouts and stuff, but they can run everything from hunting stuff to classes to instructors to sales at a place.
Auctions, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that well, I'm out here near Phoenix, where that, whatever that auction, that gun auction place is. So yeah,
Rock Island auctions, that one?
Is that what it is? I always want to say, I think it's, anyway.
It's RIA.
Yeah, it is Rock Island. So they'll spend quite a bit, and I imagine that's because they, like you say, that we're,
Well, dude, they're the Sotheby's of gun auctions. I mean, it's not unheard of them to auction off potentially a couple $100,000 uh, in items in one of their auctions. I mean, in one of their days of an auction. I mean, it's pretty crazy.
right. I mean, I'll see their really fancy colored, full color, little glossy things at gun shops or at the shows.
Oh yeah.
Here in Arizona, where I don't see them in New Mexico, because they don't expect people to drive all the way to Phoenix from there. So I guess some of it has to do with proximity and where you expect people to drive or whatever.
Oh, that makes sense. I mean, because if anything, they're already probably going to be in the know somewhat on that, and potentially, I believe you can bid online for the RIA and stuff like that. Colt 97Z out there does say range cleanups, and they had posters in Oregon in the gun shops during that time. And then one of the instances he said was for range cleanups. I think that's definitely a good thing, especially considering, like, I have one public range out here, and if they post something on Facebook and or put notices up at the gun shops, I imagine they will have potentially more people show up to volunteer.
So on the gun channel side, 20 cents, a waste of paper. He walks past City Hall on his way to work, and people are annoying that are handing out those pieces of paper. I can understand if it's like unsolicited, but I wonder if it's something I don't see very often. But I guess with the popularity of memes, would it be possible to put something on like almost a Far Side cartoon? Is that what that place was called? Like a little simple cartoon that you could copy a bunch of times and just kind of hand those out, get a point across really fast.
Yeah.
Like
Well, and
maybe
also
fire extinguisher. I don't consider myself a firefighter because I have a fire extinguisher. I'm not playing cop because I have a gun, or one of those kind of memes where they equate fire extinguishers with guns.
the beat him over the head with simplicity, kind of a rock thing.
Yeah, because I'm guessing a flyer, you're going to glance at it and then, like you say, probably throw it away or let it go or something.
The quicker that you can digest the message, the more chance it has for retention. Now, what Tony's also saying there, though, is clearly they're not trying to hand out Second Amendment flyers as he's walking past City Hall, or he wouldn't find them quite as annoying as well. So subject matter of the people handing out whatever they're handing out, and plus the method. There's a difference between high pressure sales and a no pressure sales approach as far as getting things done. And there's a huge difference there.
It's much less abrasive if, let's say, there's a bulletin posted on your way out of the gun shop or over on a bulletin board that's meant for the public to post notices. If you go and read and say, oh, there's a get together this Saturday at the local courthouse, in support of issue X, Y, and Z, versus somebody who's standing on the street, pushing paper towards you that may or may not actually interest you. I mean, I'm much more interested. I will actually stop and read bulletin boards and things like that at stores that I go to, because there's a reasonable chance that there's something related to whatever the store happens to sell or do that might interest me. So I'm the kind of guy that does stop and actually read those things.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I do. If you're doing handouts or whatever, either if it's at a gun show or at a gun store or whatever, well, you already know you have the right audience, and those people still might ignore some of it, but at least it's like when you're just targeting people walking down the street, the likelihood of your message connecting with one of them is pretty slim compared to if you have a concentrated, like, well, we know these people are already here for guns, so here, let's do, whatever, some type of thing. But yeah, I'm going to lean towards they're not that effective unless I'm specifically looking for them. Like you mentioned, the calendar at the gun show or whatever. I pick that up because the same promotion does like a bunch in a bunch of different cities, and so I like seeing that. I'll normally grab that so I'll know what's going on for the next 6 months or whatever. But there's like a whole table of them, and most of the time I'm only grabbing one thing. Like I glance at all the other ones, are like, yeah, I don't care about any of those. So for me personally, I think they don't have very much effectiveness, but it is another tool in the toolbox. Maybe other people think the other way, and they think that a Facebook post is completely worthless, but a flyer is like the best thing ever. So,
that's also why people, it's very popular, regardless of whether it's, kosher with your legal regulations, that like whether it be a bus stop or a telephone pole, people posting things, because people will voluntarily possibly read something versus something shoved in their face. Their natural reaction is going to be quite different versus, you see something, you might look and say, oh, that's about this, that, or the other. You're at least going to be most likely more open-minded because you're voluntarily reading it.
Well, I definitely want to, before we move on, I want to encourage people to think about it, because the press, the printing, Benjamin Franklin, it's one of these things that we helped move along. We don't get to say we invented any of it, really. We invented some of it, I guess, but we definitely appreciated the power of the press and the freedom of the press. It's in our First Amendment. So, we need our first to protect our second. And while we have the internet and it's easy to cast aside, historic things or old things, this is something that's prevailed through television, through radio. It has a valid, it has unique characteristics that will keep it valid, I think, going into the future. And all it takes is for an EMP, which we all may or may not think is theoretically possible or, practically inevitable or something. but having stuff printed does facilitate getting information out there more permanently, potentially. So I was also going to throw in there that, so like say with the memes and stuff, the bland old, here's the calendar for the gun show is effective for people like you were saying that are looking for it. But the memes and things that catch your eye, graphic arts, the same way we use them on the internet, are all apply obviously to printed stuff. And somebody with who's artistic and has a good wit could probably be real effective with some simple cartoon type things that could be maybe posted on a website, posted on something like Gun Channel, so that anyone wants to could print them and distribute them. And then I guess the last thing is, remember there's QRC codes or whatever those things are, those little square barcodes. You get those made free online. You just go to one of is it a QRQ? The hell the name of it is.
QRC, I think was correct.
QRC code generator. And
Quick read code, right? That's what QRC stands for.
Oh, okay, thanks. So it's basically a quick barcode, and you can go put in a URL on something as specific as like a page on your channel like Gun Channels, or something as general as gunchannels.com, or your YouTube channel or your Facebook address. And you can go to one of these generators and you type in whatever URL, whatever website address you want in there, and then it creates it into that little box. With that power, then you can go create a single page on a website that gets a message across, like a landing page, so to speak, where you have a message. You could point it to a specific video on your YouTube channel that would pop open and play a specific message to the people that would click on that. And then once you've generated that QRC code, it's just a JPEG. So it's just a little image, and you can paste that on whatever Word document and then print it. You can put that. Yeah, exactly. And then when people are walking by, like Dan was saying, at a bus stop, who doesn't have their phone with them? People know what that is already. And, that can be pretty effective, a combination of your efforts online and, physical, tangible, something that people can carry around and share. So I guess that's it for today. We're hoping again to spark ideas here and to inspire. So if you've seen hold on, Daniel, if you've seen some stuff that has worked, has caught your eye and got you to take a second glance, if it was just effective marketing for something, try to remember that and maybe archive it, and maybe we can share that stuff on Gun Channel somewhere. And so when people are trying to create a eye-catching something or another for a project or a gun show or a gun shop or something that they're working with, again, we can use Gun Channels as a way to share resources and collaborate on stuff like that. Okay. I think we're talking about windbreakers now.
The bombs are falling all over the place. Oh my God, I can't believe it. It's time for the tactical pop quiz of the day. And yes, last Friday, I had to leave before the tactical pop quiz was run. But when I was in my car driving up to my station, I did happen to hear someone do their Just Dano imitation. And I have to say, it was lacking.
What? You're going to give me crap about that too?
Completely adequate. We were going to be giving you a talk after the show.
Yeah.
It's got a good old clap.
You gotta clap into the microphone, not away from the microphone. It's not how loud the clap is in the room. It's how loud the clap is next to the microphone, sir.
Oh.
Well, I'll try. You got the rhythm. You got, you almost had me. You almost. But anyway, those of you on YouTube and those of you over on Gun Channels, put your cursor down in the text box, limber up your fingers, get ready. This is a 3-part answer. Repeat, this is a 3-part answer. And yes, you must put all parts in the same line. Not 3 different areas, 3 different entries. All in one line, put the 3 different parts of the answer. Z, have you seen the answer? And you good to go?
Yep, ready to rock.
All right. The question is as follows, and I will read the question twice. In the U.S. Army, when you qualify with your rifle, there are 3 levels of qualification. What are they?
What?
In the U.S. Army, when you qualify with your rifle, there are 3 levels of qualification. What are they? Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock.
Nice. Excellent question, Dano. Excellent question.
Being gun channels, I would think we might want to know. What are you?
Well, they may have not been in the Army.
Exactly.
Bingo. No.
not bingo.
Nope, that is incorrect.
Oh, so close on YouTube.
A car carrier. Might, in some realms, that may be correct, car carrier. And we said Army. We did not say Marine Corps.
Now, we do not give attendance awards. So,
Participation.
sorry about that, but, you know, this is not T-ball.
Come on, guys. You got this. Literally, you don't even have to guess. You can Google it, and it will tell you what it is.
Yes, but you do get more points if you actually
No, you don't.
just know it.
You feel better about yourself. Yes. I'm going with Colt 90. I'm going with Colt 97Z.
There you go. Yep.
What do you think, Dano?
I didn't see it, but I will accept your judgment there. So he was on which side?
He was on the YouTube side. Now, G-Webs, did you not think? I think that counts, man. That's
Okay.
that's all 3.
I'll go ahead and give the official answer, but I'm going to accept Z as picking the winner. The answer is marksman is the lowest level, followed by sharpshooter, followed by expert. So congratulations. What was it, Colt 45?
No. That's Billy D. Williams sold, but no, this is Colt 97Z.
Colt 97C, congratulations. Head on over to dailygunshow.com/pop-quiz. Fill out the form, put your first, second, and third choices. And congratulations, you are today's tactical pop quiz winner.
Yeah,
like that smack.
See, that was right into the microphone. That's very good. And so, of course, Colt 97Z, that makes you the first tactical pop quiz hot shot for the week. So good job.
And speaking
congratulations.
Of hot shots, I do want to bring up, we got a couple of emails from Chris Stell.
Can we
and
finish
thank
this
you, Chris, that it's Stell and not Steele.
Can we finish this topic? Can we finish this topic first? So we're sending you over to the Daily Gun Show /pop quiz. We've got a new poster or a new picture up there of our patch panel. Got a bunch of patches up there that we create here in Tucson. They're made from our designs or patches that people have donated to the cause they want to participate, and then some that we bought at gun shows along the way. So you pick a patch from the panel. There's a form down here. Oops. Oh, I got to go fix it. There's a form down there. There'll be a form down there that you click on, and it'll give you a chance to tell us where to send it. You got first choice, a second and third choice, but pretty much all except for, 2% of the time.
Did I not just say all that?
Well, we have a new picture up there, so sorry.
Okay, gotcha.
A second, since I'm screen sharing the picture to talk about that, but now we can talk about the emails.
All right. So yeah, going over the email, we got a couple of emails from Chris Stell. And
so what did Chris Steele say?
He said, Dano, it's Stell, not Steele. So thank you, Chris, for correcting my enunciation. He sent us 2 emails. The first one I want to talk about was about when was the very first hot shot. And Chris found that, and I want to thank you very much, Chris. That was episode 103 at the 43-minute mark, and Sean Connery was the first hot shot for the Tactical Pop Quiz. So thank you, Chris. Also, he sent in another email with the totals of Pop Quiz winners from January 1st of this year. Went through up until the beginning of March 3rd, I believe. And according to his email, Sean Connery has 9 wins so far. I'm not sure. This is kind of odd the way he did this. This is Gun Channel has 29 wins. Not sure what the Gun Channels versus YouTube, and then YouTube has 13 wins. So Gun Channels is almost a 3-to-1 lead over YouTube, and as far as winners in general. But
they're coming
YouTube
back
is definitely doing a lot better than I thought they were. I'm sorry?
Well, I said they're coming back with today.
Absolutely. So thanks, Chris, and keep up the good work. And we'll definitely take you up on your offer on additional help whenever you're able to. We're certainly appreciate it. So thank you.
All right, that will take us into the gun of the day. This week, we're going to take a look at some books about guns. And we're going to start off the week with this book called The Tiniest Guns. It's written by Bob Urso, who creates little tiny guns, 2mm pinfires and whatnot. A lot of them are also just miniatures, or he talks about some of the miniatures as well. But most of these are firing guns or blank firing guns. And it's a cool little book. It doesn't cost much. I think it might be $10 or something. And you can get it right off of his website. I'm sure I've got a link on the video there somewhere. And I think I'm going to thumb through here to the back again. And what's cool about the back of this book is you've got the literally right there. You just take a photocopy of that. You put that onto some metal, cut them out with a little wire saw, and drill out some holes. And you can build your own little 2mm pinfire out of just really scrap pieces of metal. And kind of cool. Shows you how to assemble it, and pretty simple mechanism. He even talks about in the back here how to assemble the cartridges, the little 2mm pinfires. So cool little book, and highly worth it in my opinion. It's coming straight from the publisher, or straight from the guy who makes it. So cool little project. I think it's worth checking it out. I don't think
So
you're
is
going to
that
library.
is that written by Jen Urso's uncle?
I don't know who that is.
Sure you do. That's the heroine from Star Wars Rogue One. Jen Urso.
So
Excuse me, Jen Urso.
That would have been a long time ago.
It was galaxy far away.
How current as far as the copyright of the material? Is that like to 2012, 2010?
Pretty recent. That's the 3rd edition already, and I just bought it like last year, I think.
Okay, so it's a current.
Oh yeah, but like I said, I don't even know if you can get it on Amazon. I think you just have to get it from him on his website, Tiny Weapons or something. Oh, it's boburso.com actually, but I've got the link.
How easy is that to remember? That's pretty cool.
So we'll take a look at that. We're trying to hit a gun every day. Bob's not here, so we have to wing it, and we're talking about gun books this week. So we'll continue to look at them. We'll continue to look at those. And am I still screen sharing? I might as well still be screen sharing. So we're going to go into the gun shop of the day. Does that work?
Sure.
Yep.
So we've got a couple of pictures that Chris posted, didn't he? Somebody posted here. Eventually we'll have them up.
I don't know.
So
I'll go with maybe.
On the main page of Gun Channels here, middle of last week, I think it was Chris was driving around. Yeah, Chris was driving around in Colorado, and he found this cool little shop. I thought we could talk for a bit about it, and the screen capture here. So anybody that's listening to this as a podcast, you can either go over to Gun Channels and scroll down to, when was this, like last week? Just a couple of things down on the main page there, and then you can see this photo of this kind of interesting little gun shop.
Well, now I get it, G-Webs. This is what I was asking you questions about in the internal chat before we started. Well, now I completely understand. It makes perfect sense.
Yep. So this one was, he didn't really post it for the show, although we probably realized we're going to grab it because it's a cool looking little shop. Guessing from his description here that he found this while he was driving through the back roads of Colorado, that it's a little shop, but it says alcohol, tobacco, and firearms on it, and looks more like a bar or I mean, a liquor store or something. Would you
Oh,
say
I
that?
bet you it's a literal country store, so to speak. Is what it looks like to me. One of those things that it's going to have all three of those things. It's probably going
Yeah,
to
you're
have
gonna get
ammo, and he probably got an
cigarettes.
FFL, and
Yeah, you probably get your ammo for if you're up there hunting. You get your beer. You get your cigarettes. Kind of a cool place.
probably some food. There's clearly ice. Yeah, that's a nice little spot to have. It's like almost like a roadhouse meets a general store almost.
When he posted this picture, it looks exactly like this one I remember up by Canyon Lake, north of Phoenix. But I'm assuming it's not. But yeah, I've definitely been to some places like this before, and they're kind of neat. I mean, I don't know if you've ever driven down the middle of a dirt road and then you find a place like this. You might as well come across the big city or something. It's like, oh, great, cold drinks and some
Right.
salty snacks or whatever.
When the small towns are literally too far apart, and you live out in the country, that is going to town.
Well, in some of those places, they'll have bungalows or rooms, for the wayfarer and stuff like that too. Especially if they are too far away, and sometimes you can get a hot meal there and everything like that. Remember, there was a place towards the middle of the Hiawatha National Forest, and it was like the Buckhorn, and it was one of those things like literally you're going through the middle of the forest, right, down a logging road or whatever, and then sure as shit, oh, well, this is the place to stop, isn't it? Because that's one of those things there. Like I can't tell if they had gas, gas pumps, and it doesn't look like they do, but.
No,
That might be the only civilization for however many miles,
Right. And that's what I mean by when the small towns get too far apart, or that small town is on the other side of the island, or the other side of the mountain, excuse me, or the other side of the island.
Truly.
To me, or when I see places like that, it just screams, hit the brakes, stop immediately, make a U-turn. Cool stuff I just passed. Go back there, check it out. You don't know what you may have just missed. That's what a place like that says to me just by looking at the picture.
They're saying on the
gun channel, definitely stop and take a look.
They're saying on the gun channel side that the green crosses in Colorado mean that they have marijuana there also. So you could get your marijuana there.
Entirely possible, or it could just be a green cross. But entirely possible.
And it says America will act. What's up that?
That's probably quit stepping, don't tread on me, quit messing with the Second Amendment. You don't want to wake the sleeping giant. I can go on with analogies, but I'm pretty sure that's what that's saying. That's saying we will rise up if you keep pushing us.
License something, parking only.
Probably their handicap spot or something.
Oh man, it was closed. Oh dang.
Oh, it says open.
No, read the comment.
Yeah,
I was out on dirt road for hours before I bumped into it. Unfortunately, it was closed, so I couldn't check it out.
Oh. Well, they got their dang open signs open for or turned on for jerks. Yeah, that would be annoying. But anyway, that's our gun shop today. We don't know much about it. I guess it's called alcohol tobacco. No, it's called Bailey Discount Liquors, I guess. Anyway, it's in Colorado somewhere. And thanks, Chris, for sending that in, or for posting those on gun channels. People have posted or sent them in though, and you're always welcome to do so. You can send them to us at dailygunshow@gmail.com. If you can give us a little description, we'll let people know about the store. But this is exactly what we want to do, is let people know about these unique and interesting gun shops that are out there. They're not all Bass Pros, that's for sure. They're not all this 1,000-foot segments of a shopping center.
Yeah, and again, the audience participation should be commended. Whether it's people participating in the technical pop quiz or the tactical quiz, whether it's people sending in pictures or gun shops or pop quiz questions or any of the things that our audience does, we definitely appreciate all of the audience participation, whether it's like, sharing, subscribing, telling somebody in person about the show. becoming a Patreon member. We appreciate any and all levels of participation. I just like to reiterate that.
Absolutely. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten to the bottom of the barrel of Tactical Pop Quiz questions, and all of a sudden I'm saved by an email that has, whether it be 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, good questions, with answers and so forth that are there, and I really appreciate them, and I think it helps the show. Definitely adds quality material to the show that would be, rather than just having one person pick it out all the time, it gets a little variation in there. It's always nice.
I will agree with Diecaster on YouTube. We do need more thumbs up. It gets the show referred to more people. The more thumbs up we can have and the more shares. So
thanks for saying that out loud, because I'm like, what's a thumbs up? What? And then when you read thumbs up, I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
Yep, I gotcha.
But I missed the H too. I mean, I know he left out some letters, but I really was like, thumbs up. I'm like, what's a thumbs up?
Speaking of getting thumbs up, why don't we go into the gun tech segment of the day and gather a bunch when we talk about plastic guns?
Yeah. Now, are we literally talking polymer or are we talking plastic? I think we're talking polymer, in my opinion.
Well, polymer is plastic.
Mm-hmm. It's a type of, or one of them is a type of the other.
It contains plastic, but it has more than just plastic in it.
That's fine, but at least it's.
Whereas your dart gun as a kid was just a plastic gun.
There are various. It's like saying facial tissue versus Kleenex. I mean, plastic is a very generic term that technically there are many different types of materials all fit under the umbrella of plastics.
Made out of petroleum-based stuff, basically.
Yes.
Not
right.
So
some of which are high quality and expensive, some of which are very inexpensive and cheap. But they all fit under that plastics umbrella. So it's plastics does not mean cheap, although we tend to use it in that way.
Well, inexpensive to create for sure. So we're talking about the more modern guns. Well, I guess last few decades, and we got the characteristics of the polymer. So we got hunting rifles that have it, and shotguns, because they can take more abuse and more weather extremes than the wood, I guess. I don't know. Is it a possibility of making them float? I guess the AR-7 floats because it's made out of a expanded plastic as opposed to a something like a bird. What would they have to be made out of? Balsa wood or something to make it float.
Right.
Then you get your, I guess, your ability to replace them way quicker. I mean, it's got to be faster for a place to kick out plastic parts than it is to find wood and then mill it all down and create wooden parts. You have to finish.
Especially with the explosion of the technology and the reduction of cost in 3D printers. I mean, I actually ordered an internal base plate for a car magazine that shot out somewhere in my room that I can't seem to find. It's the internal one. It's a little tiny thing. Anyway, I ordered a replacement, and and the company that I bought it from makes them off of 3D printers. I mean, so they're not just doing prototypes with 3D printers anymore. Some companies are finding places to actually make production runs off of 3D printers. And again, this is going back to plastic parts, plastic stuff. How far can plastic go? It's not just for your cheap little kid's toy anymore. It's now finding new roles and new uses that we never would have thought of before. It's much more durable than it was 30 years ago. As chemistry has advanced that much.
Well, it's certainly got some unique properties to it. We use it in space. So yeah, plastic's got resilience and whatnot. We're using polymer with metal to make projectiles and parts. So I guess it depends on where we end plastic and get into the hybrids. I guess we should probably talk about the Undetectable Firearms Act as well. And they created the first polymer guns. Everybody got concerned because they're idiots that they could go through metal detectors or something. And
you mean Glock 7 that's made out of ceramic that can go through metal detectors?
Cost more than you make in a month.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, exactly. So they didn't need for it to actually be tested. Just the concept was enough for him to create a law that said you can't create guns that can do that. So basically, stopped evolution in that part of guns. It really bothers me when we see stuff like 3D printing. And I mean, if we see 3D printing now, I mean, does anyone really even have a concept of where that's going to be in 10 years, where it's going to be in 3 or 4 or 5 years? Uh, like Dan was saying, you're already getting stuff from manufacturers that's coming straight out of nowhere, on a 3D printer. No real, infrastructure to create a part, where before you would have had to pretty much engineer the heck out of that thing as much as it possibly can, then pay somebody to make a giant plastic mold for it, then pay somebody else to take that giant plastic mold made of metal and make a bunch of plastic parts, and then use those plastic parts for a while, make sure they're right, and then maybe potentially alter the molds and stuff, and then kick out production. And in order to pay for all that infrastructure, you got to kick them out at some level and then assume to sell a bunch of them. And now, so what that meant is if you had a rare part or a unique need for something, there was no way it was going to, if it wasn't going to sell, it wasn't going to pay for all that infrastructure. Now it's literally whatever you come up with, you can solve it on your desktop, literally. So I would think that we're going to see parts that used to be metal, because that's just how things were done, be replaced with polymer parts more and more, especially on the older guns that are, maybe a part breaks or something, and somebody looks at it and says, I bet you I could just replace this with a polymer.
In addition to pistol frames and rifle stocks, I mean, you also have magazines that have gone from all steel suddenly to where they're maybe with the exception of the spring, all polymer.
That's a real good point. Yeah. And since it's basically a perishable portion of the gun, not putting all that resource and material into something like that can really be effective, or really be effective at making it cost less, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, when you had mentioned the undetectable firearms and stuff, I was going to say, well, that's not really a problem because pretty much barrels are all made out of metal, so like no matter what you do. And as I was thinking that in my head, I remembered that you can make carbon fiber barrels. So like imagine if that wasn't there, which I don't think it's really helping anything anyways. You could have some pretty cool lightweight guns. You could pretty much take just about all the metal out of it with the different polymers, carbon fiber, and
well, when you've got metal scraping against metal, there's requirements and heat and everything. But yeah, when you got carbon fiber and you're going to jam another chunk of ceramic or something down there, or ceramic shrouded with polymer, like a shotgun slug going down with a wad, and like say carbon fiber barrel, because it's not shooting a piece of metal, it doesn't need to be as strong or whatever. It doesn't need to have that metal properties. And then if you're shooting something lighter, especially for marksmanship and just shooting, recreational shooting or whatever, maybe small hunting or something, if you're not going to shoot a heavy thing, then you don't need as much pressure. We might be able to come up with whole systems that use much less gunpowder, right, to just shove some piece of ceramic slug in a plastic shroud out of a carbon fiber barrel. Gun that weighs 2 pounds, big rifle.
Yeah, and I could totally see that for hunting. I mean, I know there's certain types of hunting, like elk hunting or whatever, where you go walk around in the mountains all day, and then you might see an elk like on the top of the other mountain. So you shoot it, and then you have to walk down one peak and up the other one, and then cut it up and drag it all that. Like, you got enough to carry. So if your rifle's a little bit lighter, that could make all the difference in the world. So I like to see technology, and I think that's where polymer, their biggest advantage is, well, I guess there's two, is lightweight.
You
and
just went
then,
all nut and fancy on us, dude.
Okay.
You can't.
And
The
then,
philosophy is use, and you had size and weight concerns.
Well, where would we be with concealed carry if we didn't have plastics as far as lightweight small guns?
I guess I was done with my point, Z. Thanks. Because the second thing that plastic does really well is corrosion resistance.
Yeah, saltwater use and whatnot.
Well, even just like sweat and humidity and everything else. I mean, Daniel just mentioned concealed carry, which, yeah, you're right. I mean, having a light gun for concealed carry is cool, but it's up against your body. It's getting stuff on it, and it's exposed to the elements all day, every day. So, and there's no reason why polymer can't just keep evolving. And there's plenty of chemical engineers out there that are messing around with stuff, trying to make something lighter but stronger, or whatever property it is you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, eventually there will be certain limits within the physics of using polymers, but we're not there just yet. We still got a ways to go.
And then there's hybrids, so mixing
Yep.
ceramics up into it, mixing metals up into it. And we have materials that we have not yet figured out yet, right? I was just listening to something about the Sydney, what is that thing? The Opera House? And it's made out of like bathroom tiles that are cooked so hard that they can't collect dirt, so they never have to wash. They just have to wash that thing. They never have to paint it or anything. And I don't know. I mean, ceramic may have brittle, but if you can mix it with polymer to remove some of those properties, there might be some ceramic barrels or something. All right. Well,
So yeah, that would be cool.
The subject for Dano, so he had to leave for the day. I don't know what we're gonna talk about with plastic guns. Is there any other branches to branch off onto?
Well, I don't know. I mean, just to mention the like the AR-15 lowers that are polymer. It's one of those things that it doesn't really take that much force. That's the thing too, right? I mean, you can see what part of the frame or what part of this, that, or the other isn't really taking any force. Make that out of plastic. And there are some that embed some metal in there in the critical parts, and then the rest is plastic. So,
Good
I mean,
point.
pretty much plastic has gotten into all different, like you said, shotguns, rifles. They're replacing stocks, replacing forward grips. It's
Yeah,
in
there
the
were
pistols.
trigger guards on shotguns a while back. I mentioned for cost, but maybe for weight. 1911 frames being made out of polymer. So, yeah, hopefully we'll see that Undetectable Firearms Act requires it to be renewed every 10 years. So hopefully we'll see in another 10 years a change in the atmosphere and the fear of firearms, and or lack of fear of firearms, and we'll see that thing go away. And then maybe industry and tech will demand it be taken away even sooner. That'd be great.
Wouldn't that technically be right towards the end of his second term? Because wasn't it in the middle of Obama's
Second.
re-election?
His second one, right? It was like
Yeah.
Or was it his re-election?
Yeah, I think it was right after his re-election. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it would almost be if the guy got re-elected.
Yeah,
It might be within that span.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I'd like to see a move towards, the Hearing Protection Act is basically removing something from the registry. It's changing law, removing law, hopefully. If that interstate, or what is it? The, what are they calling the reciprocity one? Interstate reciprocity. If that one
national reciprocity.
That might be potentially, changing things at a level where people get comfortable. So it'd be great if people got comfortable with changing firearms laws. It's a lot to ask. Let's get it moving first before we speculate on how great it would be. But it is, at least it's not in stone. It does die in 10 years and has to be renewed. It's been renewed, but not always right away. It doesn't always die and then get renewed. It's died before and been dead and then been revived, unfortunately. So I think we've been under its infringement 3 times now, 30 years, but not consecutively. I think there was a gap there for a minute where you could potentially have built a Glock without a metal insert or a lower without a metal insert in it. Again, that's plastic guns. We could probably address this one in the future and talk more specifically about like the AR lowers or the pistols that are plastic.
So I just thought of something real quick, and I don't know the feasibility of this, but what about polymer suppressors? Like just for the outside part. I mean, I don't know how. I know they get hot and everything.
The whole thing. Glock makes one. I thought we did. Shouldn't we share the video one time? Rob Pink
I might have missed that. So someone stole my invention before I thought of it. Again, great. That's why I'll never be famous inventor. I always think of stuff people already did. So maybe we can touch on it again, and we can.
I don't need to be a famous inventor, but I'll definitely be. I could handle being a rich inventor.
So this is Pincus video. This isn't. This is a Pincus video from when he was in Africa. And that's a 45 ACP, a real Glock. And then that's a Glock polymer disposable suppressor. I think he says in there it's supposed to shoot like 10 rounds, and then it gets louder. But he says, I think he said something in there like if it says 10, they shoot it for like 20 before it starts getting loud. But as far as I understand, it's just a kind of a one piece of plastic, and you'll see he just jams it on the barrel here. That locked it into place, and then I guess it sells for $130 in South Africa.
That's awesome.
And he'll hold it up eventually, and I think you'll see that it's got it is a Glock brand, Glock branding, and Glock roll mark.
Glock brand Glock.
Dude, it's got to be almost. Look at it. It almost looks like a mag, right? So I mean, it's got to be coming out of the same place as their mags, probably. I don't know what's in it. It might have some metal in it, but
I just think about that. If it did fit in a mag pouch, you could have 2 or 3 potentially.
Yeah, seriously, you just have an extra mag pouch when you need to go quiet. You jam that thing on there, and whenever you're done, you just yank it and throw it off and throw it away because it's disposable.
I'm guessing since it starts getting louder after 10 shots or whatever, the internals are probably plastic as well, so the baffles start melting a little bit or something, and that's why it starts getting louder.
It could be like a leather fixture, so you're going to have a hole through it. You could have a metal rod that holds a bunch of pieces of leather in place, and then you come in and inject your plastic so that it catches all those leather wipes or something, or I don't know, vinyl or some other material. So they could have a multi-material thing, and then they just mass produce it. But I don't know. It'd be interesting.
Well, now I want one because I need to try that. So that thing that the Hearing Protection Act needs to pass so that somehow, some way we can get those in this country. Or will that be since it's not made in this country, we won't be able to have it? Is that one of those stupid rules?
Hold on. Hearing Protection Act is not the. I don't think it's the reason. Wait, I don't think
it's the stupid import law from '68, isn't it?
Stuff is because it's on the registry, but it could be. And if removing it from the registry allows importation, then who knows what kind of suppressors we could get from China or someplace where they don't have a lot of cost of production. But Trump is all about making people pay tariffs, isn't he? He wants to equalize the playing field, make us more money or something.
Well, he would rather see those suppressors be made in America, sir.
That's what I mean. So, but then we just talked about 3D printing, so maybe we just 3D print these things from now on. Even if it only takes 10 shots, it takes you 10 minutes to print it. 10 minutes, 10 shots, $10 worth of material. That's
I bet it's more than $10 in material, but you never know. It could be.
A campaign I'm going to get behind. That's what I want to see. $10 suppressors that take 10 minutes to make, and that shoot at least 10 shots.
Well, then you're literally going to Ace. You're buying a mag light and some washers.
Oh, I mean 10 minutes of printing. I don't want to have to do anything except push a button and then have it.
I hear you. I hear you.
I'm just putting down what needs to happen. Somebody else can come along.
It's a good goal to have. Always, be working for something better.
Yep. Always be closing. A, B, C.
Kodak says his can came in this weekend, or his stamp came in for his can. What caliber?
Who said that?
No doubt.
Right on.
All right.
That's awesome.
What do we do next? The gun movie of the day?
Sure.
So every day we try to hit a movie that's you might not have seen in a while, or if you're a youngin, you haven't seen anything good yet. So it's Jack Reacher, and this one isn't that old, so I'm guessing most people listening to this have probably seen it if they were planning on it. But they already came out with a new one, and whenever I seen the new one, I remembered I couldn't remember much of the first one. It's this the one in the parking garage, right? He's the retired guy, and it's like somebody shoots somebody from a parking garage across the river.
It's not really that he's a retired guy. It's just that he no longer works for the military as a military crime investigator or whatever, I believe. It's one of those ones where he's probably done work, dare I say, for the company or whatnot over time. He's got that cheesy line in it. It's Tom Cruise being Tom Cruise as like a military investigator trying to help somebody that he doesn't like. And that's part of the whole impetus of the film is, why would a guy that knows I don't like them or respect them want me to help them?
Yep. And I thought
the answer is because Tom Cruise is the only one that can do it.
Well, he would be, even though they don't like each other, the one guy recognizes that he's fair, right? And that
he does a good job. Like he does his job and he does it well.
So I thought that part was cool. It was more than just your typical, like, here's a plot. At least they put a little thought into the plot, a little bit of twist.
Way more. There was a good, decent twist, you know?
Yeah. And it was action enough that it makes it entertaining, and you could watch it a couple of times. I know I've seen it a few times already.
Okay.
But I think it's in stark contrast to their sucky follow-up, part 2.
Well, you said that I hadn't seen the second one, and I kind of haven't seen the second one because you said it sucked. You didn't even say it was bad. You said it sucked. So
no, like I said, if you put the babysitter, Jack Reacher Part 2, the babysitter up against Jack Reacher, it's like not even fair because the first one is a pretty decent movie, and like we were just saying, it's pretty good. And the second one is so bad. Like if the second one would have just been called some babysitter movie, and maybe even had the same people, but just made it a different movie, it probably would have been better. But because it was trying to be the follow-up to this, you have a certain level of expectation. And
absolutely.
Right. Yeah, it was not good.
Well, and I didn't, before I got my car, I didn't realize that you could technically drive a BMW in reverse into a gunfight like that. And I don't think that I'm in a hurry to test out the theory in real life. When he had to use the backup camera in that scene in the movie that was awesome. You don't know what I'm talking about? That's okay.
I don't think so. I don't have backup cameras, so maybe I wasn't paying attention. But like, disclaimer, I barely ever pay that much attention to movies, so probably even not one to read movies. But
and the chicken, it's hot. By the way,
I'm gonna say disclaimer: you never look when you back up.
I don't.
Oh, I do.
Years because I don't have time for the past.
Oh, okay. So you're always going forward. Okay.
Yep.
I liked it. Since we're talking about the first one, I definitely liked it. There's ass whooping. There's gunplay. There is a little bit of tactical smarts, I would say, like especially with the jugs. And how he figured out stuff, and I'm trying not to give away any of the movie. I mean, I'm sure everybody's seen it by now, but still yet. It was pretty smart in areas, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Whether tactical reloads or just, weapons malfunctioning or not every pull of the trigger was a hit or, it was somewhat more realistic. I mean, other than it was Tom Cruise. I mean, other than that.
I wonder if we should do this as an entertainment thing. I'm going to put that in.
Can you say that again, please?
Do you think these movies, we're stepping away from this particular movie, do you think that movies, I'm going to put this as an entertainment topic for future discussion, but do you think that movies are getting more realistic because they just think it looks cool and that's like their trendy, hip way of making the movie look different? Or is it because of audience feedback and they know that shooters and people that like seeing it like to see something realistic?
Well, I definitely think we should have this as a topic of discussion, but I also want to say that, we got movies like Zero Dark 30 and all that kind of stuff where there are more consultants for movies for accuracy and whatnot, right? So like a movie, like we're talking Jack Reacher or a John Wick or what was the one about honor? It was like before Zero Dark 30. It was
The one where the real seals were in it.
yeah, and that one was a movie, whereas Zero Dark 30 was fake people or actors about a real story.
It was
Yeah,
a dramatization
the other one.
actual events. The other one was the one with actual seals, but they were just doing a drama, or I mean a fiction.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, since those movies have kind of become more popular, I guess I'll say, and then since we've been,
Or maybe it's because they're successful. Then they're like, oh, that worked. Let's do that again.
well, there's that, but there's more consultants available because, I mean, let's be honest, we've been in Iraq and Afghanistan, and there was Kosovo, and there was Iraq and Kuwait before that. So, like, there has been action going on around the world for the past 20, 30 years almost. Act of Valor, thank you, out in the chat. Thank you. Act of Valor was the movie I was talking about. So, like, do you think about it? It's like they have produced more people in the know over this time, right? So then that means that when those people are either no longer active duty or sometimes active duty on loan, that they're gonna, if the studio wants accuracy, they can get it now. You know what I mean? And they've been able to do that for probably a decade or so. Would you say? Maybe a little bit longer.
I don't know. It's kind of hard for us to know because we've been paying attention to that stuff all the time. You know, so,
Right.
But I guess the saturation of movies that have it, or I guess, has definitely been.
Well, it just seems like there's more of, whether it's round count or realism in movies now.
Taken the first one that really.
No, even think about this. Lethal Weapon. That was like Riggs' character. He was former whatever before he was in the police force. So, like, he was more gung ho than your standard buddy cop movie. You know what I mean? So, I don't know.
Well, I guess I was thinking like Collateral, like Taken, like.
Oh, you're talking where there's gung fu and stuff like that, where there's
not gung fu, but like.
Well, there's disarmament and
regulations and like awareness to like round count and like not cocking a hammer on a Glock and that kind of thing.
Yes,
yes. Like they've increased in number, and that's why I guess I'm wondering if it's like you're saying, just because they actually have valid people that know gun handling, and the directors are taking their information now.
Well, because think about how much grief that the studios or directors would take or be made fun of by, I don't want to necessarily people like us, but we would definitely let those people know over time that they're messing up.
Matrix was interesting, but it wasn't good gun handling, and it was stupid. They dropped like live rounds out of the thing with the links. It's just they didn't know what they were doing, and they didn't matter because I guess it was.
You were just supposed to be watching all the explosions and stuff like that. That's all you're supposed to be watching in that movie.
Filming it, but you're watching. But they like lacked on their like knowledge of what the guns were supposed to work like. But
but then there's guys like the guy who did Thief back in the 70s, early 80s with James Caan. Like, he sent him to Gunsight to do, there has been some movies where it's like been legit, right, over time. But like, if you think about the 70s and 80s. And probably into the early 90s, they were not the norm. They were not the majority of movies. You know what I'm saying? Like, even Aliens wasn't, like, even though they were supposed to be this tight military unit, let's just say that it wasn't so much. You know what I mean? Whereas it seems like basically other stuff happening since past that where it's starting to get more accurate, more realistic, and some directors they have a lot of pride or ego invested in their pictures, right? So they want to. There you go. Thanks. Heat, another one, definitely comes into mind with tactical reloads and covering position, and there seems to be like there was a lot more effort put into like a movie like that. Like, even what was another one? The Way of the Gun, another one where covering fire and everything like that. Now, granted, the guy at the end of that movie wins because he's got a J-frame, but that's neither here nor there for that movie. Nice. Enrique's out there. There should be a warning labels at the beginning of movies stating how irresponsible they use defensive firearms. That's funny. And I definitely agree with Diecaster. It does depend on the director, because some directors care, and like I said, their ego demands that they have it realistic and they got it right, so to speak. Like, I'm not saying somebody with ego, but I'm going to say somebody like Milius, who wanted to get it right. So, he did what he could to get it right. And then there's going to be some that are just taking a paycheck. They want some explosions. Boom, boom. There you go. Thanks for getting paid.
Well, and that's the thing.
If you're Die Hard, the guy had an expert on this. He had a, whatever you call a consultant on there to tell him what a Glock was, because it was still fairly new. And he had all the right info and decided to say all the stuff he said because he said it sounded better. So
yeah, no, and it's exactly it. Sometimes it's that ego of the director is what F's it up. Yeah, thanks, Moon Food. Yeah, Michael Mann. I think he was the good guy that did Thief, and a lot of his movies are pretty much he tries to be on point.
Oh, I see. Moon's not in my lobby anymore. Okay. Now the lobby will be rebroadcasting the Daily Show. Anyways, you were talking about the like how more and more movies are getting stuff more accurate. I think part of the thing with Hollywood is they all like copy off each other and stuff. So like when you get some type of like cliche, back in the day it used to be if you got shot, you went flying backwards through a window and all that kind of stuff. And so it's like directors or writers or whoever would just do whatever other movies did. So they're like, well, this must be what gunfights look like. And so as soon as you got the first few that did it the right way, then you started like all the other people are like, oh, this is how it's supposed to look. So then they just copy that.
And who was the one who did it? Who was the one that did it? Who was credited for doing it the right way first? We've talked about him before.
I'm going to assume you're talking about Milius, but
no. Before that.
Oh.
The guy who did Wild Bunch?
Yep. Peckinpah, Sam Peckinpah.
Sam Peckinpah, yeah. Yeah, which blew people literally, figuratively, and literally blew people away when that movie came out. It almost got an X rating, I believe, at the time.
And we can't disregard the best movie ever made was the first PG-13, and that was Milius.
Right.
All right, so we've successfully taken Jack Reacher and brought it to Red Dawn. So
that's a win.
That is. That is.
Well,
we're definitely going to. We added that to entertainment, right? We are going to talk more about that in the future.
Yeah, we've been talking about Jack Reacher, the movie, because we had a movie every day. But yeah, we talked about gunplay in movies and when it started to become more realistic, or when they started paying attention to detail as far as handling and manipulation and whatnot. And we're going to talk about that in a future show. I'm broadcasting live on Instagram right now, so anybody that's watching on Instagram, you can head over to gunchannels.com and to gunchannels.com/dailygunshow and join us. We broadcast live every day at this time, and we're in the midst of our show, so just taking a quick intermission there. I think that'll wrap up the movie of the day.
Anyone watching the lobby, you're listening to the Daily Gun Show. I just unmuted my headset, and I'm holding my phone.
I feel like I should broadcast on Facebook also, and then we can have it like on 5 different places.
I'm just curious, what's he broadcasting this on? Where are you spreading it, sir?
Is he
the Coconut Wireless.
Oh, there you go.
But
we didn't do thumbs up. Are we all giving it 2 thumbs up?
Definitely. I mean, I have to admit that, like Collateral, it was a movie that I'm like, oh, it's Tom Cruise. I don't want to see it because it's just Tom Cruise being Tom Cruise. So I heard enough people tell me how great it was, and then I watched it, and I have to agree, it's pretty awesome, actually. Tom Cruise aside, it's actually a pretty good movie.
All right, so
2 thumbs up.
What do we have? We did plastic guns race, so I guess that's about it. We have a healthy tip. We'd like to remind everybody that the most important part of the gun is the part that puts the trigger. So
I give the movie a thumbs up after my big long explanation that I was muted.
Oh,
So,
Well,
anyways,
you're only giving one thumbs up? You're only
yeah.
giving
Well, as I explained, if you were listening from the lobby point of view, I don't think I saw the whole thing. I was one of them I caught on TV, and like I've seen most of it, and I don't really remember a lot about it. So I'm only comfortable giving it one thumbs up.
Scientology's coming to get you, Smeggy.
Well, that's all right. I'll call up with that. Was that Leah Reamer or something, or whatever her name is? Remini. Yeah, sure. There you go. I'll call her up. She'll protect me.
She will.
All right, so then we've got
We're
to
talking
help.
about walking.
Yeah, every day we like talk about something and keep you healthy. So today we're talking about walking, and we talked about it in the past. We'll talk about it again. I think it's about your best bet for the money, right? Doesn't cost too much, doesn't hurt your body too much, and if you're going to get something, it can be productive. And if you got a dog or a little kid, you can bring them along, keep them healthy. And if you don't, you could join gun channels. A lot of us will join in on the live chats via our phones as we're walking, either for exercise or to someplace. So that's a healthy tip. Think about walking more.
And speaking of dogs and walking, for our history segment today, found a little something. I don't really know that it was today or anything like that today memorialized, but it was the most decorated dog of the First World War, Sergeant Stubby. So I have basically shared the link on at least YouTube and on Facebook. And then it's a little story about this little guy. And then basically it's dogs are often regarded as man's best friend. They are loyal animals. They can be very protective and can be trained to do many tasks. For this reason, they are used by the police, search and rescue operations, and the military. Dogs have been what? I hate it when it does that.
It looks like a little
dogs.
Military.
What's that?
This dog looks like a little Boston Terrier or something.
Yeah, dogs have been utilized in the Army for a long time, and some have gone to become more prestigious than others, such as the case for Sergeant Stubby, a dog whose breed was not known, but was likely a Bull Terrier or a Boston Terrier. He served in World War One. Here, you can read it.
18 months in the war. I think we lost C.
No, I was figuring you wanted to talk, so I was letting you talk.
No, I don't know anything about him. So this is an Army dog, though.
Yes.
Good.
He in the 102nd Infantry for the training, like in 1917, but his exact age was not known. Basically, dog ended up going to war with Conroy without knowing anyone. Let's see. Dog was discovered, but Stubby saluted the man that found him and was allowed to stay. Stubby spent most of his time in the trenches over the 18 months he was in the war. He fought in 17 battles and 4 offensives. His first combat experience was in February 1918, where he stayed under constant fire for several weeks. During a raid, just 2 months later, he was wounded in the leg, having been hit by a hand grenade thrown by Germans. Once he was better, he was sent back to the trenches. Stubby was valuable to his team. He was good for morale, for those injured and for those about to fight. He was a distraction in the awful mud-filled trenches of World War I. He also had a more practical purpose by helping troops in battle. Stubby saved lives, warning soldiers of gases that had been deployed by the enemy. Also by catching Germans, although not many. Let's see, where's the second page?
You just have to scroll down.
Okay, good.
It says that he would let them know about the gas coming. He would locate the wounded. He could warn of artillery. So that's pretty cool. He has his, dog sense. And he knew
they made a special mask for him as well, like special gas mask. It looks like. But yeah, locate the wounded. How awesome is that? Warn of artillery coming. Now, he says he did capture a German by the leg of his trousers. He stayed with the soldier until Allied troops turned up. Now, I don't know how that happened, but that's amazing. Nice. He says the full story is not known, but the German may have been injured. Unfortunately, towards the end of the war, he was wounded again by a grenade, this time injuring his legs and chest, but he survived. Stubby finished the war with several medals and awards and the sergeant title. It is not known if he was officially a part of the military, but nonetheless, his role in his division was important. When the dude's service in the war ended, he took Stubby back home with him, again, by hiding him, of course. Stubby's return to the U.S. was highly celebrated. His achievements during the war had been reported back in the States, probably like in movie reel films and stuff like that. Over the course of a few years, he was in various parades, met with presidents, and was a dog celebrity. Stubby became the mascot for Georgetown University. What? Often coming out at halftime during events. Stubby lived until 1926. So, dude went to war, fought in many battles, and still got hurt a couple times, blowed up by grenades and whatnot, and still lived until 1926, which was a decade after he had started serving in the military. He died peacefully in his sleep and was preserved after death. Nice. Here you go. Conroy donated him to the Smithsonian Museum in 1956. He is currently on display in the Price of Freedom exhibit. Now, to me, that's pretty huge. Since his death, Stubby has been written about in 4 books. He has a brick in the Walk of Honor in Kansas City. Children have learned of his exploits in schools. Portraits have been made of him, and an animated film is being made about him, set to release in 2018. He is often called the most decorated animal of World War I, and the celebration of him reflects that. When he died, the New York Times ran a half-page obituary for him, which is more than world leaders often get. Although he entered the war almost 100 years ago, Sergeant Stubby will likely be celebrated for many years to come.
Very cool. Definitely a Boston Terrier.
That's what I thought. Because of the roundness.
Piece of gun history today as well. That is today, and that is today is the anniversary of the birth of Joe. I don't know, Luger, the guy who invented the gun and the bullet.
So we have him to blame for the 9mm Luger?
What's that? The best bullet ever invented? Is that what you're saying?
No, it was in fact the 9mm 9x19 Parabellum. So you misunderstood. You misheard. Anyway,
because I thought you were about 9mm, the best round ever invented.
So the man was born today, March 6th in 1849, and we just missed. The other way. We missed the patent of his pistol, which was in 1904 on March 1st. So Mark mentioned in both of those today.
And that is, I don't know, I like the look of the Luger. It's my dad actually has a pellet gun that looks just like that, and you screw in the little like CO2 canister into the butt of the pistol. Unfortunately, all the seals are all worn out, so it doesn't really work. Like, it loses air pressure right away. But I always remember that as a kid, like, that thing was cool as hell. Maybe that's why I like 9mm.
So basically, you're saying that BB gun has the same ballistically, it's the same
Effectiveness.
I think that's what you're saying. I don't think I'm saying that.
So we did have a little bit of gun history today. We've talked about the idea of using handouts and flyers and stuff for Second Amendment issues, where you could use those, how to use them, encouraging people, if you've seen some good ones, to take a picture of it, right? Post it. If it's something that catches your eye, chances are it's going to work for other people. And if someone's out there trying to design something that's eye-catching, that can be a way that everybody can help to spread the word. Plus, whatever you're taking a picture of there is going to be distributed, and you're going to help share whatever that is that you've taken a picture of. We also talked about plastic guns for a bit, and then our daily stuff. So we'll be starting again tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, for episode 262. We'll be talking about the ambiguous gun laws that are out there, good idea, bad idea, bolt gun versus lever actions. And then we'll be talking about New York and have some guests on to talk about gun laws in New York. what do we got on gun channels tonight?
I think we got Matt. I imagine Never Enough Ammo coming up here shortly.
Yep,
I know we like shooting, and then I definitely believe it's going to be an exhilarating topic on Locked and Loaded this week, this evening as well. And then of
Yes.
course tomorrow,
Alien invasion.
what to do in case of.
Yeah, we already had a discussion on this, and he's going to fall into the same old paradigm that the aliens are here to conquer. And I say, what if we're going out into the woods to cut down a tree? If there's a what do you call it, an ant farm or an anthill or whatever, right between us and the tree, we might casually walk through the anthill to get to the tree and not even pay it second attention. So I could see an alien not even caring
Man,
about it.
your alien apologist waves will carry no weight here, sir.
We're going out to get some firewood. We may or may not destroy an anthill. We just don't care. We don't even acknowledge that they exist, or if we do, we don't even care.
Does not make you any less of an asshole to the ants, though.
Okay, that's right. For the ants that get destroyed. But here's
Right.
the thing. You get your firewood and you leave the forest. Your ambition isn't to step on every anthill out there because they are of no significance. So he's going to suggest that the aliens are going to spend all this effort and use their fancy technology to get here and then be worried about us. We're going to be the ants. Some of us might get stepped on as they take
They're
our
just going to be here to take all of our resources and leave the planet a dead husk. They're irrelevant of whether we're here or not.
Maybe our water, and they're going to take our oceans and they'll take our atmosphere, and then they'll just
Well,
leave.
if you watch Battlefield Earth, you know that they're coming for the gold. Hello.
Which
If you
is
watch
dumb because then they would go to asteroids if they really wanted precious metals.
That is a
Way more
fact.
asteroids are on Earth.
You are correct. And then the other one would be water. You know, the other one, they could terraform the planet because they ruined theirs. There's
Or
many.
what if they're coming here for the Matrix and they want us to be batteries? Then why would they kill us? They're going to be nice.
What
to
about Mars needs women, so they're just going to take all our chicks? I
Well,
won't
they
stand
take all
for
of
it, sir. I will not stand for it.
hide your women if that's what happens. Anyway, it will be an interesting discussion. That's on Locked and Loaded tonight.
Locked and Loaded, yeah.
It usually starts when Matt's supposed to end, but then Matt just keeps going. So, and then I think we like shooting. Do you already mention that one? It's on as well.
I did. I'm not sure what the topic was though, and I don't even remember what Never Enough Ammo's topic was for the evening either. I mean, I know it's going to be talking about Walking Dead. Hopefully, talk about Logan. Might be too early for all of that, I guess. I mean, we still haven't even been able to talk about John Wick 2 for crying out loud. But anyway, I'm getting off track here.
All right. Well, that'll be the end of episode 261. Thanks everybody for watching. Matt, Never Enough Ammo is the next show starting up, I believe. It'll be on the main page of Gun Channels if you want to check it out. On the Instagram side, we're broadcasting this on Instagram as well. #Tactical is letting people know about the bullet button laws in California, and awesome. I mean, we're doing this as a show every day, but the whole point of it is to get conversation going about the second. So we're just kind of playing around by posting it here on the Instagram, kind of getting a feel for how many people are, at this time slot able to or interested to even click on it. But don't feel bad at all that you went off topic over there talking about California laws. Obviously, that's more important than the stuff we've been talking about. So glad that we had a small format here, small place here that you had a chance to talk about that. And steadily, if you're not already familiar with #Tactical, just click on the link there. I'll take you over to her channel, and excellent Second Amendment advocate. She will let you know what's going on in California and elsewhere by monitoring her feed over there. So I'm going to turn off the Instagram one. Thanks everybody for joining us over there. And now that one is ended, we can say thank you to the people we really care about, our Patreon supporters, and then the people watching us on Gun Channels and YouTube Live. We do appreciate the people that jump in live. It, like Z was saying, it gives us a lot more to work with. It gives us some encouragement, and it's good to see the numbers growing. So thanks to the people that are joining us for the first time. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can always email them to us at dailygunshow@gmail.com.
Yes, and that brings us to a very, very excellent quote that's very topical and probably needs to be applied. Again, thanks everybody. This quote here for the end of the day is by Will Rogers. Definitely has said a lot of good things in his lifetime, and this one is another one. never miss a good chance to shut up. So thank you and aloha. Everybody have a good evening. See you around.
The guys and gals of gunwebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching gunwebsites.com.